Prime Minister. Prime Minister. For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, and so say all of us, and so say all of us, and so say all of us, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow. Ladies and gentlemen,
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, it seems to me odd that it should have taken the stresses of a great world war to bring me for the first time to the county hall. And I am very glad indeed to find that by the time the call came, the hall had not already ceased to exist. You have taken in this building some of the blows and scars which have fallen upon London, but like the rest of London, you carry on. The impressive and inspiring spectacle we have witnessed in Hyde Park this morning displays the vigor and the efficiency of the civil defense forces of London. They have grown up under the stress of emergency. They have been shaped and tempered by the fire of the enemy. And this morning we saw them all in their many grades and classes: the wardens, the rescue and first aid parties, the casualty services, the decontamination squad, the fire service, the report and control center staff, the highways and public utilities services, the messengers, the police. All these we have seen on a lovely English summer morn, marching past, men and women, in all the pomp and panoply, not of war, though it is war, but of civic duty. There they marched, and as one saw them passing by, no one could but feel how great a people, how great a nation we have the honor to belong to. How varied, complex, sensitive, resilient is the society we have evolved over centuries in this island. How capable it is of withstanding the most prodigious, the most unexpected, and the most frightful strains. Those whom we saw this morning were the representatives of nearly 250,000 organized functionaries and servants in the defense of London, who in one way or another stand to their posts and who take an active part in the maintenance of the life of London and of Greater London under an attack which, when it began and while it was at its pitch, was unexampled in history. And what we saw today in Hyde Park was only symbolic of what can be produced, though on a smaller scale, throughout the length and breadth of this combatant and embattled island. None of us quite knew what would be the result of a concentrated and prolonged bombardment of this vast center of population. Here in the Thames Valley, over 8 million people are maintained at a very high level of modern civilization. They are dependent from day to day upon light, heat, power, water, sewerage, and communications of the most complicated character. The administration of London, in all its branches, was confronted with problems hitherto unknown and unmeasured in all the history of the past. Public order, public health, the maintenance of all the essential services, the handling of the millions of people who go in and out of London every day, the shelter, not indeed from the enemy's bombs, for that was beyond us, but from their blast and splinters, the shelter of millions of men and women, the removal of the dead and wounded from the shattered buildings, the care of the wounded when hospitals were being ruthlessly bombed, the provision for the homeless, sometimes amounting to many thousands in a single day and accumulating to many more after 3 or 4 days of successive attacks. All these, the welfare and the education amid these scenes of our great numbers of children here, all these presented tasks which, viewed in cold blood beforehand, might well have seemed overwhelming. Indeed, before the war, when imagination painted the pictures of what might happen on the great air raids of our cities, plans were made to move the government, to move all the great controlling services which center in London and disperse them about the countryside. And also it was always considered a very great danger which had to be met, that some wave of panic would send millions of people crowding out into the countryside along all the roads. Well,